Toronto Liberal MP Michael Ignatieff is widely perceived as a front runner in the race to replace Stéphane Dion. What does he think of this parliamentary crisis? How does it affect his leadership bid? He's with us now. Mr. Ignatieff, first of all, Finance Minister Jim Flaherty just announced on the show that January 27th is the budget date. Does this change anything for the opposition, for the Liberals?
Jane, we want to be positive and helpful here, but I didn't hear anything in Mr. Flaherty's statement that backs us off this ledge.
And as well, the statement that Mr. Baird, the Transport Minister, made yesterday about backing off from the $1.95 per vote subsidy. They're not going to do that now. Does that change anything?
Well, that was a ill-conceived and provocative gesture, but our objection to what the autumn statement was its economic content. I mean, Mr. Flaherty said nothing today about backing away from attacks on the collective bargaining rights of public sector workers. He has said nothing about all this stuff about pay equity for women. They appear to be walking back from that. He said nothing about this deficit which they're trying to conceal with asset sales. I mean, the whole economic package is not right. It's not up to the challenge of the hour. And we just think they need to go back and think again, and from Mr. Flaherty's remarks, I don't think they're prepared to do that. So we are where we are before he began speaking.
So December 8th, there'll be a non-confidence vote, and the opposition will be voting down the government.
Let's be clear, Mr. Dion is the leader of the party. He makes that call, but I haven't heard anything yet that leads me to think we're going to change our mind.
Do you think that's what the course you should follow? Do you think it's wise to try to bring Canada into another election so soon from the last one?
Look, Mr. Harper started this ball rolling with provocative gestures that do not address the real problems facing the country, because that's the issue. In my riding, I've got workers losing their jobs. I've got people terrified about the state of their pensions, worried about their mortgages and their savings. This package did nothing to address those real concerns. A responsible opposition has to say, no, wait a minute, you're not addressing the real problem. And so until they address the real problem, we then have to look for solutions, because nobody wants an election. Nobody wants an election, no. Jane. And so we're responsibly engaging with other parties. Mr. Harper did not. We're engaging with other parties to see whether there's a way forward, and we hope there will be.
Instability in the House of Commons and Parliament, though, isn't that high-stakes politics as well? Isn't that governing on the ledge?
But Jane, what are we supposed to do when a government that's in a minority and 60% of the country did not vote for them produces a package which is not up to the challenge of the hour? What are we supposed to do? Roll over? I don't think so. We have to then look for a way forward to find an arrangement with other parties, if we can. And I don't say it's possible yet. I'm just saying we have an obligation to the public to see, is there another way out, and that's what we're doing.
And you feel comfortable, though, with going ahead on the 8th with a non-confidence motion and bringing them down. That's what
Jane, nobody feels comfortable about the situation we're in, but I repeat, the situation we're in was created by Stephen Harper.
Okay, what about the leadership, though? Because Steph, we're hearing that Mr. Dion, that there's some in the Liberals who do not want him to lead, to be the leader of this coalition. Where are you on that?
He's the leader of the party.
So you're okay with him becoming Prime Minister temporarily for a month, 3 months, 4 months?
Mr. Dion is the leader of the party. He's undertaking negotiations with other parties. I am a candidate for the leadership of the party for a convention that, as you know, is going to happen in May. That's all I know. Everything else is above my pay grade.
What about if the party came to you? Would you be willing to become the leader?
I'm not getting into any hypotheses. My understanding of the situation we're in is that Stéphane Dion is undertaking discussions with other parties. I am not engaged in those discussions. I'm being informed about those discussions. I hope those discussions allow us to create a government that is sensible, middle of the road, practical, and addresses the real problems facing the economy. And you know, if Mr. Dion asks me to do a job in that government, I'll be happy to serve. If he doesn't, he doesn't. I mean, let's keep our eye focused on the ball, Jane. The ball here is the most serious economic crisis since the Great Depression. All of us, me, everybody in the House of Commons has to raise our game and think what's in the interest of the Canadian people, and that's what we're trying to do.
I know, but it doesn't look like, I think, from the outside to Canadians that you're actually raising your game. It looks more like there's political games being played here. You're using the economic crisis as a way of trying to take over the government.
No, not right, Jane. What we're trying to do is deal with the fact that Stephen Harper had a chance to address the real problems Canada faces, and he chose to engage in irrelevant, partisan, provocative gestures that do nothing to address the worries and anxieties of Canadians watching this program. That's the situation. We didn't create this situation, he did. Now he's got a chance to walk down the hill, walk back, show the leadership that comes from compromise, the kind of leadership he hasn't shown in 2.5 years. And because he hasn't shown that leadership, we have to take the ball and say, okay, how can we find our way out of this crisis? And that's what Mr. Dion is trying to do.
Well, the Tories are saying that they've made the point that the NDP, you and the NDP together have only 114 seats. They have 143. Do you think it's wise? They're saying it's you're going to be supported by the separatists. You're going to be supported by the Bloc Québécois. How is that going to look to Canadians? It's going to, you know, they're propping you up.
Do you seriously suppose that a man like Mr. Dion, who has fought separatism, fought for the unity of Canada, fought to make Canada strong and to defend the necessary powers of the federal government, is going to trade any of that away to anybody? I just don't think that's a plausible hypothesis. I didn't come into politics to do that. We're willing to, let's be clear, I'm willing to, Mr. Dion is willing to talk to the Bloc because of the urgency of the crisis about that area of economic policy where we have common interests. And the common interests are to protect the forest workers, the pulp workers, the workers in the affected sectors of the Quebec economy. And if we can work together to achieve that goal without compromising the unity of Canada or the necessary powers of the federal government, we will do so. And nobody thinks, let's be clear, nobody thinks this is easy. Mr. Dion doesn't think it's easy. I don't think it's easy.
Yeah, but maybe he's doing that as a ploy to become Prime Minister because he didn't get to be Prime Minister on October 14th. Maybe he's ignoring all that stuff because he wants this power grab.
I repeat, the issue here is not Monsieur Dion's motives or intentions. Monsieur Dion is responding to a situation that's not of any of our making, namely the Prime Minister's incapacity. I think it's in his temperament, his incapacity to govern for all Canadians. He's governing for the 36% who voted for him. He's not governing for the rest of the country. He engaged in provocation that united the opposition, incredible strategic feat. He united people who have different interests against him because of an autumn statement that showed no political judgment whatever. The responsibility for this crisis is squarely on his shoulders.
And squarely on the shoulders, though, of the opposition as well. I think Canadians are thinking you're putting together backroom deals that are bad for the country.
But let's be clear, I am not privy to any of the backroom deals, and let's be clear about those deals. They have to be worked out behind closed doors, but the minute a possible deal is there, and I have no idea whether there is one or not, but were it to become possible, it will be presented to Parliament, to the Canadian people, and everybody will see exactly what the terms of a possible legislative arrangement between these three parties is. And at that point, Parliament will look at it. We hope we can get this approved and we can go forward, and everybody will know what the score is.
Michael Ignatieff, thank you very much for your time. We'll see how this plays out during this week. High-stake politics for sure.
My pleasure.